So by now, thousands of people have watched my tutorial on how to add a hamburger menu to your desktop on Squarespace. Now, one thing that some of my clients will run into is they don't want the hamburger menu off the bat. So they do want people to see the menu, but they have a lot of items in that header menu. So like, let's imagine they have maybe 10 links and it looks okay on larger monitors. But then as it gets a bit smaller, what tends to happen is it goes over 2 lines. And a nav that goes over 2 lines, it looks really messy. So the way that we combat this is initially we don't show the hamburger menu. But as the screen gets smaller, it comes up and it stops this weird 2-tier navigation. So what I'm going to do is show you a really simple way to modify the code that is already out there to have that apply. Let's say if you have a really large navigation. So we're on the site here and you can see the nav on this site, it's fine. But if we had a few more, it would probably come over to about here. So let's imagine it was double the length. As you make your screen smaller, what's going to happen is it will stack and it will look ugly. So all we need to do is go into pages, go down into custom code and then custom CSS. In here, we're just going to paste the usual hamburger code. However, what you'll see is we've pasted it in, but there's no hamburger because the screen is over 1200 px. And this media query is really, really important. So let's save it and we'll see what happens when I start to shrink this down. So you see once we get down, there we go. Our hamburger menu comes into play around there. So this is perfect. It's a really nice responsive code for people who have larger navs. In fact, what I'll do while we're on here is I'll start to stack the nav so you can see what I mean. So let's add in a link and we'll just call this link, make it nice and long. I'll add that in. And then let's add another one in, shall we? Let's copy and paste link. So we'll pop this in. And then we'll do, let's say a couple more. This will get the watch time up. This was all a ploy to make you watch longer. Okay. So you can see our nav is decently sized, but because we're on a decently sized screen, it's okay. Now let's take our code out. And you can now see the difference. So take that out and we'll shrink the nav down. Well, you can see that we get this double-decker nav. All we have to do is paste this in. And before it gets there, or just after it gets there, we can now adjust. So I know, okay, it breaks there. It goes into a double-decker. So I can say 350 or 300. And that ensures, we can see there. So let's add a 50. And I now know, okay, my nav never goes over 2 lines and it always breaks into a hamburger that people can then scroll through. So that is just a really handy snippet if you have a lot of navigation items in your header. Hopefully you found that useful. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and hit subscribe. And if you want me to build your Squarespace website, you can get in touch using the links in the description.